it. Well done. Well done. As I used to say to my gran, thanks for having a crack. Yep, it's the Lonely Dollar premium opening debut virginity busting podcast. What an amazing time to be alive. Great. Now you got to bear in mind that I feel like an absolute retard doing this. I'm set the scene for you. I'm sitting in my kitchen. It's an ungodly hour of the night. I'm paranoid that my neighbours can hear me in the garden, and I'm talking to myself on the off chance that somebody's going to listen to it one day. What a great idea that turned out to be. Yeah, good thinking, Rich. But, I promised I'd do it. So I owe it to you. I owe it to myself as well. I'm half tempted, neighbours tend to go out in the garden. I got students living next door. They tend to go out in the garden to smoke, and at some point I might have to open the window and say to the students, can you lot keep the noise down? I'm recording a podcast. And if that don't make me look like a fucking freak, I don't know what will. Right, I'm going to try not to swear, because I've been warned about swearing in the past by Sir Trevor Locke and a counsellor in Rehab, amongst other people. So I'll do my utmost not to swear, because it's not big and it's not clever. It certainly is not clever. Now, I've run out of excuses, really, not to do this, I didn't have the equipment, I didn't know how to use it, I didn't have a producer, I didn't have this, I didn't have that. Now, all of those things I've slowly eliminated with help from other people, and the only excuse I was left with is I had absolutely nothing to say, which hasn't changed drastically, but I've been inspired today to get this started, to be honest with you, to get the ball rolling. No initial podcast is gonna move mountains. This one isn't intended to. But I was inspired today by a very strange turn of events that went on. I actually just realised I haven't got the relevant paperwork with me, but it's not important. And I just found it in my back pocket, but I really did know it was. Let me just tell you the story anyway. Now that I've given it such a build-up, it's already dawned on me that it's going to be an anti-climax when I tell you. But, as I say, I ain't got a lot to say. It's Christmas soon. By the time this actually goes out, it'll probably be March or something. But, Christmas to me is a strange time. I got children, which means I need money. I haven't got a job. This podcast is actually being sponsored by the ESA. Oh, one thing though, better slip this in before we go any further. It's just a little a legal note that I have to put on this. This is a fictional podcast, okay? It's a fictional podcast. So if I come up with a fictional story, for example, like 3 years ago, I was, for argument's sake, signing on the dole and working at the same time. Now, if I, end up telling you a story along them lines, for any sort of, anybody listening who's sort of spying, for some sort of fraud-busting networks or whatever, it's just a little bit of fiction, right? I rarely tell the truth, and I'm just covering myself legally there that everything I say on this recording is purely fictional. So let's get that cleared up once and for all. Tidy. It's like a sort of reverse Fifth Amendment or whatever. I will incriminate myself, but I'll say, nah, I'm only joking. And apparently legally that does cover me, which is big worry off my shoulders. So I've meant to slip that in at the start, but better late than never. Yeah, today, what a bloody day I have had. What a day. Let me try and make it sound more interesting than it was. Christmas, I need money. Not working. I'm on ESA because I'm on the sick, because I'm depressed. Not my words. Doctor. doctor. He said, what did he know? What did he actually write down? Chronic depression. Now, I've been on the sick before, but I had anxiety and depression. But apparently, through working at Falcon and Pointer for a while, my anxiety and depression has now changed to chronic depression. So, if ever you've got anxiety of any type, go and work for somebody who doesn't pay your tax properly and doesn't pay your last week's wages properly. Your anxiety will go, but your depression will be a little bit more chronic. So yeah, anybody with anxiety issues, Falcon and Pointer, okay? Tell them Griff sent you. Yeah, but today anyway, don't want to harp on about that. Christ, it's only 700 quid, you know. Get over yourself, Griff. Move on, son. I will, yeah, to today. Now, dawned on me recently that I have to find a job. Tried paying for Christmas through the traditional channel of William Hill. Doesn't seem to be working. I don't know what the issue is there. I bet on, what do you call it, football, two goals or more. Right? I've given up on trying to pick winning teams or who's going to win what, or both teams to score, whatever. So I've sort of taken it down to the lowest common denominator now. I bet on there needs to be at least 2 goals in a game, no matter who scores them. Either team, doesn't matter, as long as there's 2 goals in a game. Nature of that bet, though, you got to do quite a few games, you know, and it's absolutely uncanny, my ability to pick the 1 or 2 out of 20, which finished 0-0. Unbelievable. So, yeah, I've given up on William Hill paying for Christmas. So I thought I got to get some sort of a job, you know. I'm completely unqualified to do anything, not motivated or inspired to do a lot either. So I went to an agency today who, you know, take people on. It's about 3 weeks before Christmas. I think it's the 7th of December today. Bear with me. Sorry, just lighting a small campfire for some refugees. You look alright, Badano? Yeah? Cup of tea? No? Alright, let me crack on then. Sorry about that. Do a lot of good work for charity. Yeah, went to an agency with a view to getting a job. Now, if you live in Swansea and you haven't got a job and you're looking for a job at Christmas, you tend to be funneled like some sort of liquid shit down a pipe into Amazon. Now I went to this agency and that's the only place they're taking on for, so I thought, right, I'll give it a crack. I'll see what's happening down there. I thought, right, you know, get your head out your ass, make an effort. So I went down there. I thought they may have stopped taking on. Unfortunately, they haven't. So I had to carry on through the procedure. And to cut a long story, a little bit shorter than it should be, but stretching it out as far as I can, filled in all the paperwork. I get into this office. It's an open plan sort of unit. There's a couple of people working there. There's about 15 or 20 people like me, unqualified, unmotivated, uninspired, looking for work. So we're all there filling in these sort of 10-page flipping questionnaires and lying, you know. It's a bit awkward for me, right, being a TV star who was actually sacked on TV. Because when it asks you work history, where did he work, what years, what were your duties, what were your special skills? But there's a bit at the end, reason for leaving. Now I was there thinking, some twat working here is bound to watch that poxy call centre programme that I carried single-handedly. Now, my reason for leaving that company was because I got sacked. You know, if you watch the programme, you'd know that. And I got sacked for apparently being rude to members of the public. And I thought, that's not going to do me any favours, you know, when I'm looking for a job. What's your reason for leaving? Oh, I told somebody they were grossly overpaid. And I did a primal scream down the phone to some other fucking idiot. So, yeah, that's my reason for leaving. So, although I can't really say that. So, reason for leaving my last job. Plot-related reasons for a TV programme. Marvellous. I thought that'll explain it. There's another part on the form. It said, can you tell us 3 interesting things about yourself? No. But one of mine was 3 interesting things about yourself. I once prank called Kevin Keegan. I don't know how long I'm going to be dining out on peanuts with that little tale, but, I couldn't think of anything more interesting, to be honest with you. I'm trying to remember what the other two things I put were. But they were that interesting, I can't even remember them myself. But as it turned out, they skipped through all the sort of stuff I'd written so quickly, it was largely irrelevant, really. I may as well have told the truth. It'd be easier to remember. But yeah, so I would go to this agency now. There's about 15 or 20 people there, all looking for a few weeks' work before Christmas in, not Admiral, what do they call it? Amazon, or the Zon, as Balmer calls it. So we fill out all these forms and they show a little video and all that, very, very interesting stuff. And have our photos taken, with our holding our names in front, like the old police mug shots that I've had taken once or twice. And then a couple of the girls there said to the lady running the operation, she's like, "Oh, it's okay if we nip out for a cigarette." She's like, yeah, we're going to do drug tests soon, but we're not going to do them yet. I thought, okay, drug tests? What the hell are you doing drug tests for? I'm actually, how do I put it? For the majority of my life, if I went for a job and they say, right, we're going to do drug tests, I would have said, are you? Well, all the best with them. I'm off. Purely to save us both the fucking hassle and the time. But I'm drug-free at the moment. I've been for about 6 weeks. And when she said about the drug test, she said, yeah, the main problem we tend to have is marijuana, because it can show up in the tests for up to 8 weeks. And as I say, I'm about 6 or 7 weeks clean, so I was thinking, oh Christ, I was a bit tense about that. So anyway, to get back to the story, I nipped outside for a cigarette with these two girls. Didn't want to, take advantage of their good nature, the agencies rather than the girls, so I had a quick fag, nipped back in, sat back down. So I'm sitting there now, as you can try and picture it. I'm surrounded by about 15 complete strangers of various descriptions. It's an open plan office. There's a couple of desks with girls working away on their computers. There's a reception desk. It's quite small, do you know what I mean? So there's nowhere to hide in there. So I'm sitting down, waiting to be called for this drugs test. And suddenly, somebody's come up behind me and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Excuse me, can I have a word with you, please?" Not in that accent. It was in a sort of a German or a Dutch accent, I think. I turned round. There's one of these fucking council patrol officers who walk around the city centre harassing people. "Excuse me, can I have a word with you, please?" I said, No, you can't. I'm a bit busy at the moment, as you can probably see. I'm in a group interview situation. He said, well, can you come outside for a chat? I said, no, I can't, I'm busy. He said, oh, well, we'll have to deal with it here then. I said, well, deal with it here then. I had no idea what the hell was going on. So, basically, he proceeded to start writing out a ticket, a littering ticket. Now, apparently, I had dropped my, not even a fag butt, because it was a rollie, so my rollie butt down a drain outside this agency, and this hawk-eyed council cunt had fucking spotted me, followed me into the agency, and proceeded to write me out a ticket in front of my new friends and my new employer. So I said to him, all right, maybe we better go outside to further discussions on this matter. So I said to him, okay, can you show me the evidence of this littering, please? He said, no, you threw it down the drain. I said, no, I didn't. Because, A, I didn't. for the benefit of the fictional side of this. And B, I did. So obviously I reverted to A for different reasons. I said, no, I didn't. You're going to show me the evidence of this littering. How can you do me for littering when there's no litter? He said, well, I'm not about to pull the drain up. Well, I said, how can you possibly prosecute me for littering then? And I went to walk back in. And he sort of approached me again. He's like, look, if you don't give me the details, I'm going to phone the police and they'll come and deal with it. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in a group interview situation where a council, I don't even know what they call themselves, a city warden, I think, something like that. But they dress like fucking riot police now, which, as you can imagine, is extremely intimidating for some of the other interviewees who are not used to these sort of situations. So yeah, after having him interrupt the whole bloody procedure we were going through, the last thing I wanted really, for the benefit of me and my new friends, was to have the police turn up. I wasn't sure about the legalities of all this, whether they could actually do that, but wasn't really in a position to test that out. So I said, well, I'm gonna question this. And he said, well, if you want to appeal it, then you can appeal it when you go to the magistrate court. You'll be issued with a summons. So he proceeded to write out this ticket, which I got in front of me here somewhere. And then he offered me the option then of, do you want it in Welsh as well? And I said, yes, of course I do, because I'm a proud Welshman like that. I'm a proud Welshman about everything apart from actually speaking Welsh. But obviously, I spotted an angle to be, confrontational. I'm picking up on the fact that this guy was Dutch or possibly German. I said, do you actually speak Welsh? He said, no. So I said, well, what the hell are you doing patrolling the streets of Swansea, harassing members of the public for invisible littering when you're not able to communicate with them in their mother tongue? He said, well, I'll take that up with my superiors, if you like. City and County of Swansea fixed penalty notice. That's my name. That's my address. Yeah, offence particulars littering, contrary to Section E7 EPA 1996. All right. So apparently littering before 96, so that may say 98, was all right, but now it's not. £75 fucking fine. When I'm midway through an interview trying to earn some money in a job, which is the last thing I want to do really, become part of some sort of robotic machine. So I can buy my children some presents for Christmas that they don't actually need. 75 quid. And as I said to my new friends when I went back in, I think I've just spent my first day's wages already, boys. How we laughed. So it's great when you get to an interview situation like that and people are already looking at you saying, well, they're not saying, but you can tell they're thinking, look, there's that twat off that TV programme. And then out of the 20 people in there, I'm the one who's got the council wardens following me in for littering. But I'll be contesting that one strongly. Very strongly. I'm going to be looking into... I need to find... What do they call that now? I need to find, like... when they say, like, oh, well, I refer you to... City and County of Swansea versus Darvel 88, when Mr. Darvel was actually cleared of all offences because of contravention of Section 4 by the city wardens. And I'll obviously get away with most things then if I use Darvel's law, which for those of you unfamiliar to Swansea means admit everything, whether you've done it or not, and the chances are you won't get nicked for fuck all, as long as you're prepared to do 4 years first in prison. Get out with a few quid, drink yourself to death as quickly as possible. True story, that. The Darvel bit and the other bit. So, yeah, that was an absolute fucking nightmare. It was a little bit embarrassing, if I'm honest. A little bit embarrassing. And then I had to go home to get my ID because my birth certificate wasn't valid, apparently, because it didn't have my mother's name on it. You know, which I could have told them. I could have written it on there, but it wasn't good enough. So I had to go home and get my passport. Got home, realised I didn't have it yet. I had to get my sister's boyfriend to drop it down because they couldn't do the drug test until I showed them my passport. Showed them my passport, they did the drug test, like some sort of breathalyzer for the alcohol. I knew that would be fine because I haven't drunk for months, which I told the guy, and he's like, yeah, that's fine. Right, you need a urine sample now, we test that for drugs. And so I'm there now, you know, clean and sober, as I say, for 6 or 7 weeks. Taking a drug test purely to try and get a part-time agency job for 3 weeks, just to tide me over through Christmas. Typical of my fucking luck. You know, I'm going to flipping... I can't say what they're called because of certain rules, but it's a narcotics-related sort of place I go. But it's anonymous, so I can't talk too much about it. But my point being, I'm quite committed to not doing drugs. And take a drugs test to try and get this job. Typical of my luck. What should fucking happen? It come back fucking clear. So now, I got no excuse now. I've got to do the job. Go into the induction tomorrow and starting Wednesday night. But luckily, it's only 12-hour shifts. And as somebody said today, they will expect you to do an hour compulsory overtime, either before your shift or at the end. Takes it into a nice round 13 hours then. And it's nights. And because I've left it late, the only one available is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday, which is great. And as if I haven't had enough good news, you've also got to do one more night shift on top of your 4 as more compulsory overtime, which will probably be the Sunday, because no fucker wants to do it. So I'm looking at Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Menial tasks, 13 hours at a pop. Looking forward to that. That's going to be a great laugh. But the beauty of it is, can you imagine the things I can talk about to you lot about that? Can you imagine how exciting it's going to be? I put all these things in a box. I taped up the box. And then the box went off. Where? I don't even fucking know. But I'm going to go and fill up another box. It's great. I done stuff like that years ago. I used to work in a crisp factory, Walker's Crisps. I could talk for hours about some of the jobs I've had. In a newsagent, I tell you what, a good thing of working in a newsagent is if you can get yourself on a Saturday morning shift, what you can do, before you do anything, you can get 100 copies of The Sun, and one by one, open them up and put 100 poxy TV magazines into the middle of them. Great start of the day, that. I used to enjoy that. That was a good laugh. God, sorry, I'm getting a bit lost in thought about some of the jobs I've had, actually. Roy's Quality Meats. That was a good job. A conveyor belt with not fish cakes, what were they? Rissoles. Pouring off a conveyor belt, which I had to sort of put into these trays and put the trays then onto this rack and then put the entire rack when it was full. You'd have about, I'm actually using my hands to measure it. It was about that big, so it'd be 10 rissoles in length and probably about 80 rissoles to a tray. And we're talking about 20 trays to a rack. A rack, not a rack. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? sending over rissoles to Iraq. Can you imagine that? No, I can't. Did you try as well? Did you try? I did. Yeah, 100, was it 80? 800? 1,600 rissoles in one rack. And these would be piling, they'd just been cooked, right? So they'd put them on the racks to put in a freezer. They'd freeze them straight away because nobody's going to be eating them for about 4 months or something. So these rissoles were fucking hot. Do you know what I mean? They used to wear these sort of gloves you had to wear. And the only time I used to eat was when I was working in that place. So when you're trying to put these rissoles on the trays in an orderly fashion, but at the same time, you're eating rissoles, you haven't got enough hands, and there's not enough time. So sometimes, there was no sort of safety mechanisms in them days. If you didn't keep up, you just ended up sort of up to your bloody shins in rissoles. And that happened to me on more than one occasion. But yeah, no, I've had some great jobs, and I've learnt from them. I have learnt. And I've learned so much from them that, let me think now, how long? In about 48 hours' time, I will actually be there. I'll be there tomorrow for some induction. And that'll be as good as it gets. When you work in these factory warehouse jobs, the induction course, right, it's as good as it fucking ever gets. It's your last little bit of freedom. They're all really nice to you in the induction course, and they tell you all the positive things about it. And then they just throw you in there then to perform menial tasks non-stop for, as I say, 13 hours at a time. But it'll pay for Christmas. So thanks for that, Jesus, you prick. Why couldn't you have had your birthday in July, when my life will be sorted again and I'll have a career like I did last July? But still, you can't pick and choose. Now, talking of rissoles, I see they're still selling Linda McCartney sausages. She must have been fatter than she looked. Now, that's my second best joke ever. I thought I'll slip that in there, because I'm holding my best joke back for my final podcast. It's going to be 10, 12 years' time, but it's going to be right at the end of my last podcast, that is. So I'm looking forward to that, even if you're not. Yeah, my mum was proud anyway of me passing that drugs test today. Very proud. Made up she is. I said, Mum, I passed. Oh, well done. She said, well done, Rich. Well done for not smoking weed for 7 weeks. Yeah, thanks, Mum. You must be so proud. As I said on Facebook earlier, it's the proudest she's felt since my brother passed his second degree, master's, I believe, or some such thing. But yeah, the pride today was up there. It was up there with that moment, I'm sure, wasn't it, Mum? If you're listening. Yeah, no, I was looking for these podcasts to be sort of topical, but as I say, my producer's got to get his hands on this first. Give it a once-over, What I want is, what I'd like to do is go and, the sound of the rain. I'd like the sound of the rain in the background, but if I open the window, there's every likelihood that people are going to hear me, and there's every likelihood that nobody will ever hear this, Very likely that nobody will ever hear this. This will probably go into this sort of, the sort of podcast skip. But my producer, could get some rain twinkling in the background. So if you can hear raindrops now, I can't. It's the magic of showbiz, you see. Brilliant, the magic of showbiz. I'm a star of stage and screen, as some of my older fans will be aware. Oh, funnily enough, I don't like to use the word prank calls, because it's up there with podcasts for my like least favourite words ever, but I do like to sort of make phone calls, which are just, completely self-indulgent. And I phoned the council recently. You can find this on YouTube if you're just discovering me now. I phoned the council recently to try and get a licence for my African wife, Shaba, to practice witchcraft. Now, I don't know if there is some sort of council vendetta out against me now, some sort of revenge mission. Find the bloke who tried to get a licence for Shaba to do voodoo in town. Find him, follow him, and wait for him to drop something down the drain, and then arrest him and fine him. Nobody fucks with the council. It was in the front page of the local paper today, actually. They got to find £36 million in savings from the council coffers because of government cuts or whatever. So there's your first 75 towards your target, lads. Merry Christmas, you bastards. What else is going on in Swansea at the moment? Garry Monk, Swans manager. Now, apologies if you're not into football, but I'm very intelligent. So what I will actually do is bend this into such a way that we're looking more at the human side of it, rather than the, the advantages of the sort of 3-5-2 with the overlapping fullbacks, as opposed to your traditional 4-4-2, 4-3-3. Or even, I won't be sort of harking back to days gone by of a proper sweeper system in the sort of Beckenbauer mould. My personal favourite football position, sweeper. Could run a game from sweeper if you were good enough, as the non-football fans amongst you will probably realise. But yeah, Garry Monk, local manager, local hero. The team aren't winning games, and the amount of abuse he's getting is unbelievable. I think by the time you hear this, he could well have lost his job. I hope not. But it's been really sad to see, mob mentality, this rampant at the moment, isn't it? We've just started bombing Syria recently to join in with the Rissol attack on Iraq that's been going on for years. And it's weird, isn't it, to see the different camps, Fucking bomb them. Don't fucking bomb them. And don't get me wrong, I was going to say as bad as any. I'm worse than most people for getting a fucking bee in my bonnet about stuff for about 5 minutes until I search deep into my soul, find that there's nothing there and stop caring. But yeah, my personal opinion, don't sack Monk, don't bomb Syria. Mainly because there could be some cracking little youngsters coming through the Syrian ranks, and we could use it as a sort of feeder club for the Swans to get us out of the fucking mess that we're in now. Because the place is falling apart, to be honest with you. It's all falling apart. Now, I don't know if you're as bored as me. I'm going to wind this up soon. Next week, I'm doing what I call my Rehab special. I'll be telling you all my Rehab tales. Tell you one little tale, though, now, before I go. I went to Rehab about 7 years ago. Don't ask me why. I was quite happy doing heroin every day. But everybody else was kicking up a big bloody fuss. So I thought, okay, if it's going to shut you up, I'll stop doing heroin every day. I'll go to rehab. And I was shipped off to Bury St Edmunds. What an experience. I recommend rehab to anybody and everybody. Even if you have never done drugs in your life, find a way to get yourself into rehab, because it is fucking nuts. Absolute fucking mayhem. your head's very likely to be fried. If it's not, it soon will be. And you'll meet a collection of what can only be described as absolute fucking nutmegs. Lovely people as well. I met some wonderful people up there I'm still in touch with. But yeah, this one incident, I'm crap at telling stories. This medium's no good for me because I find it in a real life, for want of a better phrase. I start telling somebody a story and I think, I should have finished by now. If I'd have just told the story, it would have been finished by now. Do you know what I mean? Because this is the way my mind works. I go, ooh, I'll go over here. No, I won't. I'll go over there. Ooh, I don't care where I am. Ooh, what was I on about? Rehab. Yeah. Now, the rehab I went to, it wasn't one of these live-in place, like a prison type thing. It was more of an open prison situation. They had 2 towns in the house. So you'd have to go down to the establishment all day, group therapy, all these other things. As I say, I'll talk about it more next week. That basically means I won't. But in the evenings, we went back to the houses, the 2 houses they had. So there'd be like 3 or 4 of us living in each house. And then there was a few other people, who used to live close to the town. So they'd go home in the night to, a real world situation. Is this real world or exercise? No, this is a real world situation. So I was in this house, a couple of chaps. I think it was always changing. People were coming and going and relapsing and graduating and all that. But I think I may have been with Sir Nick Voss and Lady Stephen B at the time. And it's one of the funniest times of my life, actually, living with those 2. What the fucking fluctuation in the humanoid fucking race. You won't find 2 people more different, thrown together. It's the beauty of it, see. But I was about 3-4 weeks probably into my detox, so I'd sleeping up to an hour a night by that point, so everything was back to normal. But in that house, we used to have a laugh, do you know what I mean? Everything was... it was just nice, just all living together. And as rehabs do, to recreate the sort of, real world situation, if ever they see you getting anywhere mentally, they fuck with your head just to see how you react. It's a bit like, when you're kids and you go on your friend's house and they've got a rabbit and they've got a snooker table. Have you ever been in this situation? And there's a rabbit in a cage in the corner and you're playing snooker. And you accidentally stick the tip of your cue into the rabbit's eye about 10 times. Did that ever happen to you? It's a bit like that, just to see how the rabbit reacts. But I was told one day, I just had this flash through my mind. Fucking hell, you still on this story? You still on this? Yes, I fucking am. So if you shut up for a minute, I can finish it. Because there's people on the edge of their bloody seats out there, Richard. So, yeah, to fuck with my rabbit head, I was summoned one day and told, okay, Richard, you move into the other house. Only about half a mile away, but I was comfortable in the house I was in. But we weren't there to get comfortable, Richard. You were there to find out who you were, to face up to your demons, to take responsibility for your actions, and to find a new way to live. You're not there to get comfortable. Otherwise, you could do all those things at once. And there was no hurry. So I was summoned to, bag up my meagre belongings. Bear with me. And go to the other house. So obviously, I kicked and screamed at that, and I had no choice. So I had to go to the other house, and in the other house was, for his own protection, I'll call him, Raja, because that was his name. But to give him a bit of anonymity, I'll call him Raja the Crackhead. Okay. Now Raja was a fucking oddball. In this collection of nutmegs, I think I described him as, he was the fucking oddball. He was the oddest of an odd bunch, by a million miles. Quick example, we used to meditate in the mornings. before group therapy, because you've got to get yourself spiritually prepared for that sort of emotional challenge. So we'd all sit around in a circle, sort of 10 or 12 of us, bit of sort of, music in the background to get in the mood, and you just get yourself comfy and get your breathing going and all that. Just try to meditate, just try and gather your thoughts, for the day of abuse ahead. And Raja would use this meditation time as an opportunity to put on and take off his Velcro trainers as many times as possible. So you'd be sitting there meditating, and he was like, Raja, fuck off. Whoa, man, what am I doing, man? But he was a proper fucking oddball. So yeah, I had to go and live in this house with him, and I think it was just him there at the time. We were waiting for another inmate. But when I got there, no, Richard, you're not moving into the empty bedroom. You're sharing a bedroom with Raja. And I thought, for fuck's sake, this is just, this isn't to help me. This is just, these people are amusing themselves at my expense, yeah. So I thought, right, I'm committed to this, anti-heroin plan that everybody else in my life had hatched. So I thought, right, I'll do what I'm told. I'll toe the line. Fuck it. So let me set the scene for you about 10 minutes after I should have. It's a very small room. It's, my sister Sally's old bedroom in Calais. Remember that? It's about the same size as that, right? So there's a bed there, and there's a bed there, and there's a gap in the middle of the two beds of about, I'm measuring my hands, but I'm scaling it all, so I'm just measuring my hands. And then, well, let me just tell you, my hands are literally about 18 inches apart, and my head's going about 5 foot. But it was about 5 foot, regardless of what my hands just did. Hang on, let me relight the fire for the Syrians. There's only a 5 foot gap. So I go into this room. Raja's kipping, always kipping, this bloke as well. If he wasn't in rehab, he'd be fucking sleeping permanently. Always, never engage with anybody else. Never go to meetings in the night, never do anything. He's always kipping. So I'm there, I've got my headphones on, I'm listening to music, because the last thing I want to do is engage with Raja. I got my back to his bed, I got my suitcase there. I'm getting all my clothes out of my suitcase for the fucking third time in a few weeks. Piling them on my bed, ready to put them away. To feel at home. And the song I was listening to came to an end, so obviously it was quiet. And I can just hear this fucking god-awful racket behind me. And before I had a chance to even think, I just turned around to see what it was. Raja's cracking one off. Thank you very much, Raja. We've been housemates for literally 2 minutes, and you're wanking behind my back already. Marvellous. Good times. Good times. I wonder how he is now. Apparently, he did. He got arrested once, he told us, when he told his life story. He said it was something to do with a tube station, and he was down at a tunnel in a tube, and when he told us this story, he said he got arrested for having a piss in a tunnel in a tube station. But after this experience I had, the homecoming he gave me, pun the pun, I suspect he was wanking on the tubes, as you do. So yeah, Raja, I wonder where he is now. We'll probably go deeper into that next week. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up now because you're probably as bored as I am. It's been lovely, just getting the first one out the way, because there's a saying in podcasts, all right? Your first podcast ain't going to be your best podcast. That's what the experts say. And they ain't wrong. But yeah, I'll be back next week. It's the Rehab special, even though I've just told you my best Rehab story. So the Rehab special doesn't actually exist in real life. Bit like Raja's fucking sanity. Yeah, but thanks for tuning in. Yes, Lonely Dollar Productions, produced by my man KD. He didn't want to give me. He didn't want me giving his full name because he never puts his name to any of his work. He's going to produce this for me now. Probably cut it down from about 3/4 an hour down to about 5 or 6 minutes of good stuff. So yeah, big shout out to KD, or Christian Davis as they call him for short. So thanks for producing it, KD. Thanks for listening. This is Lonely Dollar Productions. I'll be back. So will fucking you, boy. Hello, LA, Los Angeles. This one was just a warning. Warning.